Hello and welcome back to the Fallout 4 mods Iceberg. Please excuse the mess, we're in the middle of packing for a trip and we're leaving for it very shortly, so things are kind of hectic right now, but I needed to film this video for you guys. The mod Iceberg is something that I thought up to tell people about my load order in a different and interesting way. The upper levels of the Iceberg focus on mods that flow with the vanilla game, and the lower levels are dedicated to mods that are not lore friendly. Instead, they're focused around making your own experience of Fallout 4 rather than trying to enhance the original vision of the game. Part 1 of this series focused on bug fixes, game enhancements, and lore-friendly mods and little additions to the game. Part 2 is going to focus more on full game-changing quest mods, total overhauls of game mechanics, and targeted changes to very specific annoyances I had with the game. With all of that said, let's get into Level 5, Content and Quests. The first mod I have in this section is the Infinite Armory Railroad Marines mod. I went over the Infinite Armory mod in part 1 and I said that it paired with another mod later on the list, and this is that mod. The Railroad has many problems in the base game from my point of view. While it is supposed to be a faction that values secrecy, sabotage, and espionage, there isn't enough in the vanilla game to convince me that it could actually stand up to the technological superiority of the Institute or the sheer power of the Brotherhood. However, I found that a simple reskin of the Railroad really helped me with their image problem. Seeing Railroad agents walking around in Halo Marine armor just makes it much more believable that they would be able to evade the Institute and actually pose a threat to the boogeyman of the Commonwealth. To me, this mod really changes the Railroad from a ragtag band of not very lovable idiots to precise and dedicated strike force of freedom-fighting, not very lovable idiots. Galactac, Retribution, and Mercs and Music adds an entirely new faction to the Commonwealth, the Varangian Guard, a group of mercenaries simply trying to make their way across the galaxy. In terms of morality, I'd say these guys range from lawful neutral to lawful evil. They're really just focused on improving their own position, and they're not afraid to stack bodies to do so. These mods also add a new bounty system, an incredibly diverse number of armor sets with unique paint jobs to customize, new weapons, new companions, and an entirely new way to finish the main quest, if you want it. Plus, it also overhauls the Gunners, turning them into a more modern military faction, which I think looks amazing. To be honest though, a lot of the voice acting is really rough, and some of the companions do make you want to cringe into a singularity.
To you, Wolf. So, what happened to my shotgun? What do you mean you lost it?
Other companions are amazing, and one has his own Humvee to escort you around the Commonwealth in style, and he only speaks Russian or Polish or something, and his name is Vlad, and he is my favorite, and we must protect him at all costs.
What do you do here?
Ja sam Vlad. Mam obrovskú laserovú zbraň a od nej sa drž ďalej.
It is hard to overstate how essential these mods are to my load order. Nearly every aspect of my playstyle is impacted by these mods, from my headcanon about my character's personal motivations and choices, to the armor I wear, to the perks I spec into. Nearly all of these decisions are influenced by these two amazing mods, and I don't see them leaving my load order anytime soon. Sim Settlements 1 and 2 are both mods that I've seen a lot of other content on YouTube covering, so I won't go into too much detail on them here, but they're both amazing, and SS2 especially adds a ton of new content into your game. While it is lore friendly, I have it this far down on the Iceberg because there's so much to do here that you kind of find yourself forgetting the main quest of the game. Often. Spring Cleaning is a simple mod that adds the ability to scrap the piles of garbage that are laying around every single settlement. This mod is all the way down here on the list because it really does change the game, unless you are one of the mega geniuses that spends days mastering the settlement building system in Fallout 4. Your settlements probably look like garbage, just like mine. I don't need literal piles of trash hanging around to remind me of how bad I am at settlement building. Feral Nights implements the chance to encounter large hordes of feral ghouls at nighttime. This mod spices up gameplay by creating an incentive to wait through the night, because if you do go out at night and get snuck up on by a horde, you could easily find yourself overwhelmed. Who's the General is a simple mod that makes Preston Garvey a more likable character by a mile through two simple tricks. First, it implements a restriction on how often he can give you a Minuteman quest. Second, it changes Minuteman quests so that after you complete them, you no longer have to go find Preston and tell him that you've completed them. Since you're the General, as soon as they're done, the quest just completes for you. After downloading this mod, I really found myself liking Preston a lot more because I didn't avoid him like the plague. Diamond City Radio Extended adds tons of new lore-friendly songs to the Diamond City Radio. Now this mod is different from more where that came from because it actually adds the songs to the Diamond City Radio quest, and because of the way the mod is implemented, it results in true randomization, and then you don't hear Atom Bomb Baby 400 times in a row. Well, I can't show you footage of the songs being played because YouTube's copyright system will strike me down with the fury of 1,000 suns. I can assure you that it is really good and really fun to play with. Hangman's Alley is my favorite settlement in the game. Being right next to Diamond City, right in the very center of the map, it is a perfect location for a survival playthrough. It's pretty much equidistant from every other important part of the map, and it's a great forward operating base for your character. The Hangman's Alley Interior Apartments mod opens up the alley so that you have 2 apartment interiors that you can explore and build out. I really enjoy this mod because it adds a ton of space and makes it easier to design a fun and well thought out central operating base. Especially for a dum-dum like me who is so bad at settlement building, it's ridiculous. Institute Courser Spartans. This is the mod that pairs with the Rakshasa Armory mod that I mentioned in part 1, and it is a beautifully simple change to the game. As the most technologically advanced faction in the Commonwealth, the Institute is supposed to be miles ahead of the other factions in terms of weaponry, armor, and personnel. The game goes through great lengths to impress upon the player the near impossibility of killing an Institute Courser.
You're saying this intruder actually killed a Courser? Single-handedly?
But the Coursers in the base game look more like kids trying to look like Neo at Comic-Con rather than unstoppable super advanced death machines. With this mod, the Coursers look amazing. They're totally fitting. When you see them, you can totally believe that they're unstoppable killing machines. The final mod I have in level 5 is the Burst Impact FX mod, which changes grenades and explosives. They're louder, the booms are bigger, and they shake your screen more when you use them. It's hard to explain the impact this mod has on the game because it's really one of those mods that you have to experience to understand. But I can say that using this mod has made me start to use explosives a lot more in the game because it's just much more gratifying to get kills.
Stop right there!
Level 6 of the Iceberg is all about overhaul mods that radically change certain aspects of the game. Rather than bringing in entirely new content, these mods overwrite whole swaths of the game itself, turning it into something new. The Raider overhaul changes raiders so that you don't see the same exact type of enemies over and over and over and over again. Without this mod, there's like 4 different outfits that raiders wear, but with it, there's more diversity and there are different factions within the Commonwealth Raiders themselves. Weapons of Fate is a complete ballistics overhaul for Fallout 4. To quote straight from the mod's description, in vanilla Fallout, the bullets fire in a perfectly straight trajectory and instantly arrive at their point of impact. Now, each bullet has unique characteristics: weight, diameter, speed. The mod author did an excellent job with this overhaul, and it really adds gravity and punch to all the guns in Fallout 4. Any mod guns that use vanilla ammo types, like shotguns, assault rifles chambered in 5.56, or 50 cal sniper rifles are also impacted here, and they're just made so much better off. Gunplay was always something that I always thought was kind of stale in the original Fallout 4, and this mod just makes the guns a lot more fun to use. Fall Souls removes pausing from menuing, and it does so much to add realism to the game. It is completely customizable in MCM, so if you want the game to pause in certain menus, you can make it happen. But if you're like me and you don't think your character should have the power to freeze time and space just by looking at his wrist, go ahead and get this mod. It forces you to use your Pip-Boy sparingly and only from behind cover, which really helps me to get more immersed in the gameplay. The dynamic music overhaul is really great because it changes the ambient music of Fallout 4. After playing this game for an extended amount of time, the normal Wasteland music just gets too monotonous and depressing. I actually don't even know what the music sounds like in this mod because I only downloaded this to use the option that turns off ambient music altogether. Third-person animations, Metal Gear Solid 5 all in one. This mod changes almost all of the animations in Fallout 4 to look more like the ones from Metal Gear, and in my opinion it does a lot to help your character look cool instead of weird and wimpy. In the vanilla game, the character carries himself in such an odd way and his arms are always so close to his body. Ew, why is he walking like it just looks wrong. The vanilla Fallout 4 character carries himself the way I imagine the Virgin does from the Chad vs. Virgin meme. VAFS Redux changes the VAT system to just be a form of bullet time like the one from the Max Payne series. The bullet time steadily drains your AP just like the VATS shots would, but you can also have regular VATS too if you like it. I personally like to play with both. Modern weapon replacers all in one. Now, I've talked a lot about how I really dislike the vanilla guns in Fallout 4, so I feel like you should have seen this one coming. Of course I replaced nearly all the vanilla weapons with modded guns. Why wouldn't I? Reverb and Ambience Overhaul is another one of those Fallout 4 mods that changes the sounds of the game to match with the current environment that you are in. Shooting guns indoors will sound much different from shooting outdoors. This one is just another delightful realism mod that just adds so much to the game by changing such a small thing. Vulkan is my environmental overhaul mod. It changes the wasteland to an ash-covered volcanic irradiated desert, and I think it looks really good. It's basically like playing Fallout in Solstheim. Fall UI is such a popular mod that I'm not going to talk about it that much, but what I will say is that changing the user interface of Fallout 4 is something that's really necessary in my opinion. Power Armor to the People is a fantastic mod that adds your many Power Armor mods to the leveled list in appropriate ways. High-level gunners will wear Hellcat Power Armor if you have it, Brotherhood of Steel Paladins can be found wearing the XO2 armor, and Raiders can be found wearing Power Armor appropriate to their factions as well. On top of all of this, it also adds legendary Power Armor pieces for you to find scattered across the wasteland, as well as legendary Power Armor spawns on appropriate enemies. I actually don't even like to play in Power Armor that much, but I found that this mod really integrated Power Armor into the world of Fallout 4 better than the base game was even able to. Synth Overhaul is a simple mod that adds different colors to the synth armor. True Storms is one of the most popular mods for Fallout 4. On top of adding enhanced and more realistic weather, it also adds new mechanics to certain weathers. For instance, in a heavy rainstorm, your sneaking ability is automatically increased by a decent amount, since you would be able to sneak around better during heavy rain. Also, it adds the sounds of whatever weather is occurring outside to the interiors of buildings as well, which I think is a really nice touch and shows the amount of work that went into this mod. Uneducated Shooter adds leaning to the game. Leaning. It adds leaning to the game.
Uneducated Shooter adds leaning to the game.
What a revolutionary concept. For a game with a pretty bad cover system, it's kind of crazy that this super simple mechanic wasn't already here. Now that I have this mod, I'm using it basically all the time, almost every gunfight. Alright, we are now in the deepest and darkest part of the Iceberg. Level 7. This section is for mods that specifically change one part of the game. The mods that scratch that one itch that you had while playing that you just had to fix. As a result, I think that these mods are lesser known and a little bit harder to find. Also, I just realized that my Iceberg has 7 levels and there are 7 special stats in the game. You know, I'm just gonna say that was intentional. First is the Immersive HUD mod. Now, I downloaded this because I didn't think it made any sense at all for my character to see someone half a mile away and just instantly be able to tell that they were a raider. Like, how does that fit in the universe? Is the main character in Fallout 4 God? Like, seriously. Because so far we have the ability to stop time and space merely by looking at his wrist, as well as complete omnipotence of his surroundings.
A magic boat ride? Will there be sea monsters?
Anyways, with this mod, I can take away the realism breaking nameplates and other aspects of the heads-up display that are just cluttering. It also lets you use a hotkey to turn the entire HUD on or off, or you can use multiple hotkeys to just turn on specific aspects of the HUD that you want to use. Stimpaks help you breathe. Perhaps a demonstration? NPCs Travel just adds traveling NPCs to the game. They flush out the world a little more and make it feel a little bit more lived in. Pet Feed Call Dogmeat is a mod that lets you pet, feed, and call Dogmeat. It's really good, and like my third most viewed short of all time is literally just me petting my dog. I also like that you can craft treats to give him, which give him a nice little bonus, and it's really cute. Danse Put Your Helmet On is a mod that fixes a very specific problem. When you first meet Paladin Danse and help him find a MacGuffin from arcjet reactors, he does a neat little animation where he puts on his helmet to be combat ready. Cool! After this mission, he never wears his helmet again. Unless you manually tell him to equip it, he's just not gonna wear it. And if you do that, he doesn't take it off unless you tell him to do so. With this mod, Danse will wear his helmet when he enters combat and take it off when he's not in combat. Longer power lines is a good mod if you're a lazy settlement builder like me and don't want to take the time to figure out an efficient allocation of your power line setup, but you just want to turn on the freaking lights already. Survival mode console enabler is kind of a hard requirement for playing Fallout 4, modded or otherwise, just because there are so many bugs that can happen in this game, and if you don't have access to the console, sometimes you just SOL. Modded achievements enabler.
That's right, we're gonna cheat.
Silence is Golden removes the player character's voice lines, which oddly enough helps a lot of people actually be immersed into their own character.
A magic boat ride?
However, I actually prefer another mod that changes the player character's voice, which is the Power Armor Voice for Player Character mod. This mod just makes it so that your character is always using the Power Armor voice, which works really well for me because I always have my character wearing a face covering helmet. It is a part of my religion.
Where do you want me to start? The part where Kellogg turned out to be working for the Institute? Or the part where he told me they have Shosh?
Immersive Power Armor HUD adds a heads-up display for power armors that is actually quite annoying because it really covers a ton of your screen, but I thought it was necessary to give power armor a significant negative drawback, because otherwise power armor is just too strong in Fallout 4. Finally, our last mod, Survival Options, is a mod that allows you to change almost every single aspect of how survival mode works in Fallout 4. Personally, I think that the player character gets hungry and sleepy more often than a newborn baby. And I would know. Using this mod, I can turn those sliders down, resulting in longer times between mandatory resting and eating periods. Unfortunately, my character still has to get burped by Codsworth every once in a while, though.
Please do.
It will be my pleasure.
Alright, we have gone through the entire Iceberg, but there's actually another secret level. That's right, an 8th layer to the Iceberg. Deeper, darker, and more degenerate than all the other levels. It's porn. It's just porn. You sick bastards.